Yoga of personal development and founder of Visionary Yoga. I'm sorry, guys, I'm like 6 minutes late. I had a little technical issue, but here we go. I have a very juicy segment for you today. It's called 3 Ways of Overcoming Nervousness. And I think nervousness is something that we have all experienced at one time or another, especially, in this digital era. It's very common. And the nervous system really has two functions, right? According to the yogic science. One is to connect us with the world so that we can function and make an impact in the world. And usually the life force through our nervous system, through the sensory organs, they flow outward, right? And then the second function of the nervous system is to connect us with higher states of consciousness. And this is really where the yogic science shines. And in the yogic process, we learn to turn the life force that is usually leaked outwards inwards, right? Reverse that flow so that we can withdraw that life force that is usually leaked out through the sensory gateway and allow it to, concentrate on the subtler, higher centers so that we can activate and open up into higher states of consciousness. Now, restlessness, emotional excitement concentrates too much energy on the nerves so that they begin to wear out over time. Nervous energy, the nerves are made very tough, right? God made them, nature made them so that they last a lifetime. And yet, with the amount of nervous energy that is coursing through these very fine nerves, especially with the constant noise that we're living with the constant online and constant anxiety that many people are living under, it can really burn out our nervous system. And we do not want that to happen because nervous system is, I call it the conductor of the symphony orchestra that is the billions of cells of this body as well as our mind. And the mind is the worst thing to lose, right? And so let's just start by going over our understanding of our nervous system. As we know, there's 2 ways, roughly overview, 2 ways of understanding the nervous system: central and peripheral, right? The central is the spinal cord and the brain, and the peripheral is all the nerves that innervate our organs, our skeletal muscular system. And the brain is like the government, right? The brain is the government, and it houses like 27 billion cells. At least that's what the yogic texts say. 27 billion cells are the subjects. And if you ever experience like strike of a train or electrical system going out in your area, that's kind of what happens when the nerves can wear it. That can happen within our within our own governmental system of the body, right? So we want to prevent that, and that's what this live is all about. So I have some really practical tips for you, as well as a few esoteric ones. So stay tuned. And then another way of classifying the nervous system is parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. And as you know, sympathetic nervous system governs the fight and flight response. And I want to just draw your attention to where the sympathetic nervous system is located. It's really located in the lumbar and thoracic regions of your spinal cord. And I'll point out a little bit later the relationship, the significance of this. But the sympathetic nervous system increases our heart rate, right, and increases the respiratory rate, dilates our pupils, inhibits our digestive organs. And I'm seeing a lot of people having digestive disorders along with nervous disorders. So these two things go together, right? And then, of course, the adrenals that secrete the epinephrine, norepinephrine into our bloodstream to facilitate the fight and flight response. And then the parasympathetic nervous system is often called the rest and digest, right, system. And it's located between the brain and the medulla oblongata, right, the brain stem. And so rest in this system, helps us to slow down the heartbeat, slow down our breathing rate, and really constrict the pupils and bring the bloodstream into our digestive organs so that we can digest. And that's so important. And so yoga really works on both of these systems and brings about a great balance between the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. And I always tell my students, because we're living in such a time when our sympathetic nervous system is in overdrive, that really to cultivate this deep, what we call ujjayi breath in the yogic practice is beneficial for cultivating the parasympathetic nervous system response. Why? Because when you breathe in this way, the nerves touch the very bottom of the rib cage. And there are nerves that innervate this region that switch on the parasympathetic nervous system. So one tip is, I have like 4 tips for you. I said 3 ways, but I really have actually like 5 tips today. So number 1 tip is to learn to regulate your breathing. Learn the parasympathetic nervous system kind of breathing, which in which in the yogic language we call ujjayi breath. Ujjayi means literally to rise in victory. Rise in victory over the restlessness of our nervous system, the restlessness of the mind that just keeps on churning out thoughts and thoughts and thoughts. Many people are, I've been speaking to a lot of people and they tell me that they have a hard time switching off their mind at night and they can't sleep. And this is one of the reasons is, the sympathetic nervous system is on the hyperdrive, and the wheel of, the thoughts just keep going on and on and on. And it's like it's out of control, So I want to share with you a few tips, practical things that you can really stop your mind, the things where you can do to stop your mind. So number 1, though, is how do we, overcome nervousness? Number 1 is that you've got to start studying yourself, examine yourself, and this is called swadhyaya. I know it's not the most sexy thing. It's not the fast, quick remedy, but nervousness is a disorder of civilization, and it comes from overexcitation of the mind. And there's many causes for overexcitation of the mind. So when you get mad, it's like you send tremendous, voltage of energy into the brain and the heart. Emotions like fear and anger, extreme fear and anger, can so overload the system that your heart can actually stop. And it can cause cardiac failure when it's enough voltage running through this delicate nervous system. So we do not want that the burnout to happen. And it's one of the causes of this nervousness is simply talking too much, uncontrolled speech, and especially gossiping is very, very injurious. Speech is a very powerful, we have to really understand speech is a powerful weapon that we have, and when we use it for just, when, in an unconscious way, to especially speak ill of other people, that unkind speech will cause an adverse nervous system reaction in your whole nervous system. And also that it lodges on our subconscious, and we wonder sometimes, why we're in a crappy mood for no reason. And it's because every single moment of our lives is being recorded as a subtle blueprint in our subconscious. In yogic language, we call this samskaras. Samskaras. It sounds like literally some scars, in English. There are scars or imprints, impressions created upon our subconscious through everything that we do. And especially our own actions, they create a definite impression, a strong impression, like a scar on our subtle nervous system. And it's not very easy to get rid of. There are many yogic practices that help us remove that, but it's a lot of work. We call this tapasya, and so it's better not to create that scar in the first place. So watch your speech and cultivate the self-control to really speak only well of others. And it's like when you speak ill of others, you're only revealing your unpleasant state, your own unenlightened state of mind, right? And so, because truly yoga teaches the entire world is a reflection of our self, So if you see something, then you got it in yourself as well, And so you got to wait until, especially when you feel this anger coming on, a lot of us are pitta in nature, especially if you're watching on LinkedIn, like, if you're ambitious, if you got a lot of fire in you. In Ayurvedic medicine, we call this pitta. Pitta people are very driven. They're very ambitious, and they make great leaders. They have a penetrating insights, they have penetrating intellect, they're very intelligent people. But one of I say our because I am also Pitta dominant, and our weaknesses is impatience and also irritability. And sometimes that irritability, that fire can flare out in angry, lashing out kind of speech. And so we got to curb that, And in case, if you're interested to find out, discover, what your Ayurvedic constitution is, I got a wonderful little quiz. It's very quick and easy. Let me just see if I can show it. Yeah. And it's a dosha assessment. You can go to this website, visionaryyoga.com, and dosha quiz. You can take that and find out what is your dominant dosha, so that you can understand your nature, self-knowledge. We can never have enough self-knowledge. And this is one way of understanding what we are, what our constitutional makeup is. And in this Ayurvedic and yogic way of understanding through the 5 elements, it's really because it affects our emotions as well as our physiology and our stress response, our default stress response, right? Some people get depressed from too much stress. Some people go withdrawn. That's more like the kapha response. Some people get anxious and fearful. That's more like the vata response. And some of us who are pitta get irritable and angry and impatient. So anyway, I digress. But, knowing yourself and observing yourself is so important, not just to control your nervousness, but self-control is the first step to self-mastery, so you got to master your senses. We have 5 openings, right? 5 windows. And we call this jnanendriyas in yogic language. Jnana means knowledge, right? So 5 pathways of, perception and knowledge of the world and of yourself. And we've got to control these senses. Now, how do we do that? We talked in the very beginning about, normally the default way the life force happens is it leaks out through the senses, and it takes us into the world. It takes us away from ourselves and into the world. And yogic technology is about reversing this flow and concentrating that through control of the posture, control of the breath, control of the senses, and step by step we ascend into higher and higher states of consciousness. So one of the most effective way is, I talked about the breathing, right? That was one of the first tips. So one of the first tips is to control the breathing. It's the most easiest way to control your mind that tends to go out of control, especially in this digital era, right? And so the breath is the physiological counterpart to your psychology. And their psychology, your thoughts, your state of being is the psychological expression of your breath. The two are that intimately interconnected. They're the flip sides of the coin. And it's much, much easier to control your breathing than it is to try to control your mind, right? It's the monkey mind. It's like the wind. It's really hard to take a hold of. So controlling your breath. I'm amazed to see most adults, we have to relearn how to breathe. Most of us don't even have control over our breathing apparatus. And so daily breathing practice, we call this pranayama. Prana meaning the life force, and ayama meaning to expand our capacity to hold. Expanding our capacity to hold the life force first helps us with longevity. Yes, literally expanding our lifespan. Yogis, count their lifespan by the number of breaths. So imagine elongating your breath and opening up the cycles of your breath. So it's not like this little and erratic cycles of breathing, which most adults do. We do just chest breathing, and we wonder why we're in emergency mode all the time, to when you're able to do dirga shvasan, slow, deep yogic breathing, which puts you automatically in the parasympathetic system, which gives you calm and gives you more space between thought and thought. And between thought and thought, right, between the modifications of consciousness we call thought and thought, there is just pure consciousness. And as yogis, whatever you are, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as, a professional in the world, you also must really, endeavor to become a yogi in a sense, because if you want to excel at whatever you do, self-mastery is the key. Self-mastery is the key. Controlling your thoughts, controlling yourself, controlling your nervous system, right? And this is, so nervousness is just a symptom, right? And so one of the breathing, the most effective is Ujjayi breath. So if you want to try it with me, and the way I teach Ujjayi breath is the Ayurvedic way. There is just, in yoga classes, you might go and the teacher might tell you just to constrict the back of your throat. And just doing that really does help. There's a glottis at the back of your throat, right? And when you make a sound, guttural sounds such as ah or ka, you can feel the constriction here. So one way to create the constriction in the back of your throat is to do a silent ah and just inhale a silent ah. And then exhale also with a silent ah. This is just to get you to find this control over constricting the glottis, right? And now we narrow the airway, the windpipe, and now we close the mouth and breathe only through your nose. We want to breathe through the nose because it feeds, nostril breathing affects your brain waves, right? And there's been so much exciting studies done on the brain waves. We know that alpha and theta states of brain is showing that we're entering that higher state of consciousness. And beta and high beta is when you are more in the analytical mode of working in the world. There's nothing wrong with beta states, but we need to be able to consciously switch from beta into alpha and theta. That conscious control is part of self-mastery. It's so important, right? So constrict the back of your throat, and we're going to inhale, then exhale. You hear this kind of sibilant sound, as if you have this conch shell, seashell on your ear, and you're hearing the ocean sound. Have you heard that ocean sound inside the seashell? It sounds just like this. Yeah. So just doing that, 4 breaths, 5 breaths, 6 breaths. If you do 10 breaths, you can be in meditation right away. This is the shortcut into meditation. Now, some of us are too restless to even just sit down and just have the patience to do this kind of breathing. So for those of you, if this is you and you have a lot of nervous energy, then there is a quicker breath, which I call Kapalabhati breath. This is it's a great panacea for the restless nervousness that I'm seeing everywhere. Like I sit in, on a subway platform, and I see somebody's leg going twitch, like bouncing up and down, and the fingers twitching, and just like unconscious movements of the body. This is because the vata, the nervous system, is just out of control. There's too much nervous energy running through the nervous system, and we haven't learned to tame it. And if you keep that up for, it literally shortens your lifespan when the nervous system gets burnt out. Later on in life, Parkinson's disease. I mean, this is because the myelin sheath covering the bundle of nerves, myelin sheath is a wonderful, insulating lipid fat layer, white fat covering over the nerve bundles, so that the nervous impulse, information can be carried through that highway in a very efficient way. And when the myelin sheath starts to deteriorate, it's a terrible, terrible thing. It's just huge movements that you cannot control. And so later on, I'm going to be sharing with you the yogic diet, the right diet for what to eat for your nervous system, as well as some other, Ayurvedic tips for that. But right now in this breathing, I want to share with you the Kapalabhati breathing. Kapalabhati breathing is the breath of fire, but actually, literally, Kapala means head, skull, and Bhatti means light bulb. So it means literally to light your skull. So you can see how the yogis understood how the effect of each kind of breathing on the nervous system. Kapalabhati breathing literally clears the micro channels, right? It's a breathing like this. We pump the diaphragm, right? If you put your hand on the solar plexus on the diaphragm, and we push the air out and exhale through the nose. So we have a half an inhale, taking half an inhale, and then we exhale out through the nose, right? It's always should be out through the nose. And then as we go faster, we don't even have to focus on inhaling anymore. It's just exhale, 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 exhale. So shall we try? You can try like 10 rounds. So we go. And this kind of breathing, it really pushes out literally the nervousness, restlessness out of your system. And I recommend doing at least like 30, at least 30. And then after that, we take a deep inhale, ujjayi breath. And then we hold it at the top with chin down, Why do we do that? Because, as I said, in parasympathetic nervous system, it's located between the brain and the medulla. Right? And when we do this, we open the medulla and we bring the flood of all this energy that is trapped in the lower centers, the lower chakras of survival related energy, and we deliver it to the brain. And when we do this, we open the hindbrain and we flood the parasympathetic nervous system center of the medulla oblongata. And it has a profound effect in your ability to reside in that calm, centered, most resourceful state of the parasympathetic nervous system state. So I hope this is valuable for you guys. If you're finding it valuable, give me a thumbs up, because this is the stuff that I teach my private clients who pay a lot of money to work with me. Yes. And also, if you are interested in working with me, in really dialing in your ability to be a master of yourself. And when you're able to be a master of yourself, you can channel that into manifesting amazing things in your life. And so it starts with gaining control of your nervous system and your physiology. And my students, they have the perk of really getting into the most amazing shape of their lives, as well as manifesting their vision, because yoga is the most oldest and complete form of personal development there is on the planet. So if you're interested in scheduling that free session with me, and this is a 45-minute call where I show up 1,000% just to support you, just like I would any paying client of mine, and you got full 45 minutes in which you get clear on your vision, and I show you one needle moving action you can take, and I may teach you a technique, or revealing your hidden obstacles. And often we are without exception, really all of us are our greatest obstacles. We're our own greatest bottleneck. And I just point out the paradigm you're operating under, which is usually invisible to you, but is very obvious to me. And so people have breakthroughs on this calls all day long. So I only have like 4 spots for this month. So grab your spot if you would like to, have me hold your vision for you. So let's move on with the tips. So another way to reduce nervousness in your life is learn to enjoy your wealth without attachment. There's a huge difference between enjoying it and being attached to it. And as business owners, yes, wealth and wealth generation is a very big part of our endeavor, right? Of course, business means, money, but there's a huge difference between the yogic way, when the yogi CEO never gets attached physically, mentally, emotionally to that money and whatever the money buys, right? And so I love Paramahansa Yogananda. He is the author of the book Yogi, the autobiography of a yogi. And in that, he talks about how he was gifted this beautiful prime real estate in Encinitas, a hermitage, which is now worth millions. When he was given to him, he said, I gave it up to the higher power. I renounced it to the higher power so that I can really fully enjoy it. And that's really a key. It's like we can have things, we can be in the world, but not be attached, because that is a shackle. And when you're attached to the outcome, when you're attached to, you got to make that sale, and you're like pushing like this is when, and I want to bring back the sympathetic nervous system. Remember, I told you it's lodged in the thoracic and the lumbar area. And this is exactly the area where the Manipura chakra is, the third chakra in the yogic system, in the tantric system. And literally, it sounds like money, right? Manipura. Manipura means, the city of jewel. This is your center of, self-esteem, self-motivation, self-confidence, because if you notice, people who can generate a lot of wealth have a lot of confidence. There's a reason for that. And this third chakra, when we get kind of stuck energy here, but here also the fear energy. When you have financial loss, when you feel financially unstable, it comes to your kidneys and that lower part of the back. And so nervousness, the adrenals reside right here. And so a lot of that physiological nervousness comes from too much cortisol in your system, too much secretions from the adrenal glands. And so learning to enjoy wealth without attachments, just offer it up to the higher power. Like feel that Shakti, the higher power, the creator energy is working through you, and all that wealth is simply, energy, that higher power, and you are the shepherd of that. You don't own it. When you start possessing it, then you start also becoming its slave, And I know plenty of very wealthy people who are miserable, who are, just slaves of their own wealth. We don't want to live like that. What is the use of having wealth like that? The whole point of money and wealth is to give you higher wealth states of well-being, so that it can buy you time, so that you can cultivate higher states of consciousness, and you can rise higher and higher in this evolutionary ladder. And if you're not doing that, what is the point of owning, all these yachts and real estate? It's just going to become a source of misery and wear on your nervous system. So finally, I know it's like I said three things, and it's like I'm delivering to you like 10 different things. So I believe in over delivery. I hope I'm not overwhelming you. But give me a little, if you have any feedback, feel free to post it here in the comments. But so lastly, I want to talk about having the ability to turn off the nervous motor at night. Yes, because this is an epidemic that's happening throughout our world. The addiction to the nervous, to the drugs, the anxiety medications, to even just marijuana and all these substances which are harmful for your nervous system. Let's get it straight. I mean, I'm there's all this cannabis movement, but smoking weed is not good for your nervous system. It's not good for and people talk about microdosing, but truly, if you're dependent on any external substances for that calmness, you're a slave of that substance, and it's not self-mastery. Let's face it, and so it is good, much better to learn to, really turn off this nervous motor of ours. So how do we do that? I really recommend taking a bath or shower at night, because it's a form of purification. It's a form of purification. Your energy field, you can't see it perhaps. Some, clairvoyants can see it. If you cultivate, deep meditative states, then you can see your energy field. But it accumulates so much from our environment. And so this shower is the most fundamental, elemental way of cleansing the five elements of our system. The elements are not just manifest solid, like earth and water. There is these physical elements come from a subtler source. There is a blueprint for the five elements known as tanmatras, right? And tanmatras are the subtle form of the five elements, and they reside in your energy field. And so just taking a bath, it doesn't have to be, a bath or a shower, just to cleanse your energy field. Then apply some oils. This is the Ayurvedic way, because nervous system needs high quality oils, because the nervous system again has the lipid layer. Good quality fats are very important for feeding the nervous system. It's very nourishing for the nerves, especially head massage. I do every time after I wash my hair. I take a little sesame oil and a little bit, like a maybe quarter size, and I put it on my fingertips. So you're trying to massage the scalp, not the hair itself, the massage, the roots of the hair, right? And this is a wonderful way to, create cerebrospinal fluid circulation. And especially you can massage the medulla oblongata, temporal lobe, all these subtle centers. You can just help increase the circulation to these areas before you go to bed, and also in the morning. It's wonderful. Yes. And then also the soles of your feet. The soles of your feet and the palms of your hands, they contain the reflexology map, the holographic map of the whole body. And so they're full of nerve endings. So massaging the soles of your feet, especially after a massage, and you can, you'll be surprised how quickly that oil gets absorbed, because you're probably very dehydrated, and your body's starving for that oil. So it's going to get sucked up. But if you feel like you don't want to stay in your sheets, just put socks on, when you go to bed. And then after that, you're going to sit on your bed. And if you can, sit cross-legged like a meditation pose, and just do your ujjayi breathing calmly and go over the events of the day. And then you're going to just like bless your whole day. Bless your whole day. You can review and see, okay, what went well? What could I do better? That's a great thing to ask yourself, right? How can I do better tomorrow? That's a wonderful thing to ask yourself. Then think of the whole day as an accumulation of information. Remember, we are recording on our subtle nervous system every second of our day, 24/7. And so this is an accumulation, one day of life, a tremendous accumulation in your subconscious, tremendous amount of samskaras in your nervous system. So you want to just like offer all that up. Imagine there's a furnace. The present moment is a fire, a bonfire. And you just offer all this accumulation to the fire of the present moment. And you just burn it, incinerate it into ashes, into ashes. And then imagine your deathbed. Your bed is actually a deathbed. And I know it sounds really morbid, but this is a tremendous, tremendous hack for you. If you really do this tonight and every night, you're going to burn away so much, truckloads of karma. We're on this planet because we have karma to work out. We have karma to work out. And the whole movie of our lives is the karmic film rolling out, karmic film playing itself out. And so as long as we have a karmic load, we will have to come back to work it out again and again and again and again. Whole yogic system is about, let's incinerate that karmic load so that we can, we don't have to take birth anymore. We're in that highest state, and we can permanently reside in the highest state of consciousness. That is called nirvana, and if you can choose to come back. And then, when you come back without that karmic load, then the whole life is a play for you. It's a very blissful state to live on. So every night, just think of this accumulation, offer it to the bonfire of the present moment. Literally burn it down. Today is today. I don't carry anything from today into the sleep, into next day. I burn it all, and I give thanks for the day that was, and I go to bed, like it's my deathbed. Like these are the very last breath I'm taking. It's a profound way. I tell you, if you do this, you're going to wake up with so much energy. It's really a new day for you. It's a brand new day for you, a new day of life, a never before lived day. You're not recycling yesterday into tomorrow, And so this is one amazing sadhana, spiritual practice to do. Sleep. We spend 8 hours a day in sleep, half our lives in sleep. We must use that time for our acceleration of our evolutionary journey, And again, if you would like, me to just hold witness to your vision, and if you want me to, if you want me to coach you on anything, please schedule a session. This is a free session at visionarysession.com, and I'd really be happy to speak with you one-on-one like this, and just kind of, give you some pointers. So then finally, let's get into the diet for nourishing your nervous system, because the nervous system has very specific requirements, right? And so number one, berries, especially blueberries and blackberries are wonderful for the gray matter of the brain because of all the antioxidants they contain, and the subtle, it's very nourishing for that gray matter of the brain. And then again, we talked about the need of the nervous system for quality fats, right? And so goat milk, as well as soaked blanched almonds. Soaked and blanched, meaning peel the skin off the almonds so it's white, and soak it overnight so that it reconstitutes. And that nut, contains nectar for your nervous system. When you chew it well, chew it until it becomes a paste like almond butter in your mouth, and then and then ingest it. 10 almonds a day makes an amazing tonic for you, for your brain, for your whole nervous system. Walnuts are also good, although really I would say almonds are the king when it comes to its impact on your subtle nervous system. And raisins also reconstituted, soak it overnight so it's not shriveled up and dry, but it's plump. And that raisin is also very, very good for your nervous system. Ghee, the clarified butter that is an Indian cuisine, 1 teaspoon a day with hot milk, either almond milk, or if you have goat milk, it's also very good. If you heat up the milk so it's more biodigestible and less mucus forming, and put 1 dollop of ghee in there and drink it at night. This is a wonderful thing. If you have insomnia, it's a wonderful tonic for you. It just, the calcium in that milk really gives you this calmness. Avoid, animal protein, especially animal protein of higher, more evolved animals such as cow and pigs, pork and beef. They're, harmful for your nervous system. They really are. They create more aggressiveness in you. And so it's good to, cut them out. I understand if you have anemia and you need to have a steak or whatever, but really minimize it. It's not good for the planet either. You can get that protein and iron in many other ways. And then what else? Alcohol, of course, is alcohol. It really bypasses your digestive system and crosses the blood-brain barrier, and so it does have a harmful effect as well on your nervous system. It's you know everything in moderation. I'm not saying deprive yourself if you love that glass of wine, but I would really, the less you drink it, like the less coffee you drink, the more impact that caffeine has. The less you drink, the more impact even a half a glass of wine can have, and you can really enjoy that. So I would advocate to really kind of stripping away your nervous system from dependency on external substances and really empower your inner pharmacy. Empower your inner pharmacy, because we have a complete pharmacy right here in this body. And let's liberate ourselves from dependency and cultivate your ability to rise up this evolutionary ladder, to learn to really take that outgoing energy and flow it inwards. Yeah. So and also, if you enjoyed today's talk, first give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's talk. And also, if you are interested in more brain health, I'm giving a talk called Yogic Hacks for Optimizing Your Brain for people of all colors, because I am talking in the Voices of Color Summit. And I'll put the link right below this video so you can join. It's free to join. And my talk will be on October 24th. That's coming up right away on Monday, October 24th at 1 p.m. Yogic hacks for optimizing your brain health for people of all colors, because really our need to evolve on this planet is universal. And this skin color, it's like it's really of no consequence. We happen to be in this package, but we have been every color, we have been every nationality, we have been every sex, and so we are here on this planet to ascend. And so I hope I was of service to you today in really sharing with you how to overcome nervous system, how to take care of your nervous system, both from the dietary perspective, from the training, your breath perspective, right? And also cultivating your ability of self-observation. This is so important, right? Become an observer of yourself. Instead of speaking bad of other people, let's observe ourselves and reform ourselves. This is the only thing we truly have control over, our thoughts, our emotions, our nervous system. And this is the way to, let's get on that accelerated ride to, becoming enlightened while we're living on this planet Earth. We can do it. We can do it. in this lifetime. That possibility is there for you, for every human being. And I'm really a stand for that. And that's what I created Visionary Yoga for. And if also if you want more, you can read my book, The Yoga of Personal Development. It's in Kindle. You can look it up online. It's in Amazon. And I put my knowledge of, 10 years of studying in India into that book. And I talk about Ayurveda, the inner dimension of yoga, and how you can apply it to grow your business, for you to become an enlightened CEO, an enlightened being in this lifetime. So thank you so much for your attention. I truly, truly appreciate you, and wishing you a beautiful rest of your day. And if you want to sign up for the session, it's right here. I'll